Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And we got one of my favorite type of episodes lined up today. It's the entrepreneur's journey, the success story from a fellow entrepreneur of, we'll see where he was, and to creating a product that's so unique and so different, but so kind of slap yourself in the face obvious that I just can't wait to hear the story. And I know you can't either. So we're going to dive in with Nick Barrett, the CEO and founder of a company called ChordBrick. Before we go any further, Nick, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. Glad to be here.
I'm excited for this. You and me both share, we are technology experts. And that's we had a number of challenges getting this episode even live and to you today. So very excited that we're actually able to have this conversation. So Nick, I want to hear your story, but first we just need to hear about ChordBrick, because this is one of those things when I saw your application come through and I checked out your website, I was like, how is this product not invented already? Like, why is this the first time I'm hearing about this thing? So please share with the audience, what is ChordBrick?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's pretty much just what it sounds like. It's a brick for your cords. And that means it's actually kind of tiny because you don't need a huge brick like you would have for your house, to hold just your phone cord. So the trick for me was, or the problem I should say, is the cord was always falling off my nightstand in bed. And, as a lazy guy and one that's fairly picky about my space and stuff, I was just annoyed by this simple problem. And I was like, okay, this seems dumb, but why don't I just make a little weighted brick to hold the cord wherever I put it? And so, yeah, it was a really simple, basic idea. And I kind of worked out a couple of the other features that we have for the product as we went along, and we realized, oh, wait, this thing is useful for not only the cord holding and then cord wrapping as I intended it, but oh, look, it can stand your phone, it can grab your AirPods. Dang, this thing's like a little cord and phone accessory too. So that was kind of accidental, but happy accidents along the way. But the basic idea was simple, like you said, just a very basic brick for your cord to keep it wherever you need to put it.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and not show you my desk right now. Let's just say I could use a brick or two. But I'm curious, though, because you see products like this and you have that reaction, right? That I said, it's like you kind of slap yourself like, why did I not think of that is one. And the second question is, who actually designed that and made it and thought that was a product the world should have? Because it's so simple. But for you, so you had that moment where you said you're a lazy guy, which I think all great inventions come from lazy people. All great solutions do, because we're efficient. We're not lazy. Let's just change our wording.
Right. We see a better way.
Yeah, exactly. So you had this idea. It was so simple. What made you say, like, this is needed enough and simple enough for me to pursue, rather than just saying, I'm sure someone else will figure this out?
Yeah, I think actually what you just said is really interesting. You said, how did this not already exist? When I saw it, it was so obvious that this should be a product. And first of all, thank you very much for saying that. I think at first, a lot of people started saying that to me when I was selling the first version I did at a flea market. And I was like, are you saying, I didn't really know what to take from that. Like, are you saying that this product is too simple? Is it dumb? Is it are people going to laugh at people who use it or something? But no, I mean, I think the other side of that coin was what they were saying to me was it made sense to them. The brand, the ChordBrick, the shape of it.
All right. So full disclosure, a little bit of tech issues here, but Nick, I love the product. I love the creation of it. You talked about the simplicity of it and the laziness of it, which is kind of two separate things. So you saw that this was a need, at least in your life, and then you saw how simple it was too. The common question would be, or the thought would be, how is this not created already? And then, which is probably really easy to just brush it off to the side and never think about it again. You obviously took the approach of saying, well, I'm going to do something about it. So tell me about that process, because it's one thing to have an idea about a product, but then you've gone full blown, you created a company around it, you have this product now, you're selling it. What was that path like for you?
Yeah, so I'll try to explain as quickly as I can here because uh, the process of developing a product is so much more complex than I would have thought. One of the reasons that I tried to create this product was, I'd had a lot of ideas, but I kind of realized that this thing was small and should be relatively inexpensive to make. And I thought, okay, I can actually start a business that is this inexpensive because it's not like I'm trying to build a car, right? I mean, the first prototype for a car, how much is that going to cost? Hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to manufacture that thing. And I'm like, okay, I just got a tiny little thing. Like, I can definitely launch this business with the no money that I have. Now, one thing I didn't also understand was getting back to the manufacturing. um, I didn't know how to manufacture anything. So actually, I didn't bring in any preconceived problems in manufacturing. I just decided to try to make the product exactly as I envisioned it. Little did I know that there has to be compromises when you're trying to manufacture something because almost never can a product be manufactured exactly as it's originally ideated and designed. Um, there's limitations that come into manufacturing. There's this term called DFM, design for manufacturing. And that means that you have to consider things that create added expense or problems or, extra time or extra labor in the manufacturing process to try to, get the features that you want out of it. So I didn't bring any of those in. So I pretty much was able to kind of create something that was, I think, a little better designed for with the customer in mind. Because if you actually look at some of the other products that are on the market, at least the way I look at them now, they're really designed with the manufacturer in mind. The manufacturer is trying to create something that's the lowest possible cost, but that comes at a compromise for what the customer really wants.
Which I think is a great metaphor for building a business, right? I mean, a lot of people, when they go to start a business, or even if you have an existing business and you're going to add an additional service or additional products to that business, you tend to think about it from an efficiency perspective from your end. Like, how can I deliver this product or service? And we don't necessarily always design the perfect end result for the consumer. So that almost naive mindset of not knowing what is possible or what is not possible, how did you leverage that throughout the process as you started to learn things and you're developing this product? Like, how did that actually help you to create a better product for the end user?
Yeah, I mean, innovation dies at big companies, right? It's not unique that small companies innovate new products. I think that's a very commonly seen thing in the market. And I think that limitation is what really breeds necessity, right? If you don't have unlimited resources, you just have to do with what you have to make what you want. And when you have a problem that you personally are experiencing, there's no one who understands that problem better. And then, so I think when you have the idea for the solution, I think, you had asked, maybe it was even off air, but you had asked me, how do you go about even starting and creating this? And so, it seems crazy. You just start, right? You have to actually start trying. You got to start doing it. You got to start talking to people about it. People are like, oh, I don't want to share my idea. No, no. Trust me, the idea that you first come up with will not actually be what you end up making. You need people to poke holes in your idea and your solution for it, because you've got to figure out a number of different things. What are the problems people are going to see with that I don't see? And then, maybe some of those people are going to be your customers, but maybe some of them are not. So then you got to find who exactly your customer is, because the first two things you think of when you start a business are, who is my customer and what are they going to pay for it? And then how am I going to exit the business? What's my plan to get paid, to get out, to make myself expendable? Because, I think with any business, you never want to have to be the person who does all the work. It's different when you're building a personal brand, maybe as a podcast. I mean, you can tell me from that perspective, but for me, I want to make myself expendable. I want the company and the brand to basically launch products on its own without me needing to do that. So that's kind of the goal in mind that we're trying to move towards.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting way to look at it too. Full disclosure, this is not this is not my full-time gig here. We have a consulting business where I'm able to do that because we begin with that end in mind. And that's what we say to our clients all the time is if you are the one responsible for the delivery of the product or service, you're in a very dangerous position. You actually can't scale. You need to be out of delivery as much as possible. It's the only way to scale your business. And that's a perfect question to ask yourself. I'm glad you brought that up about the exit. It's inevitable, right? It's either your business is going to either fail, you can pass it to a generation, you can sell it, or you can close it down. I mean, there's very limited options about what is next for a business, but ideally you set yourself up for optimal success from the beginning. So I want to get there and kind of where you're looking at taking this business, but I'm also curious about the path to get here because so you go through the development process, you have a product, it's now ready to bring to the market. What does that look like? Because the other thing is you mentioned a car. People already drive cars. They know they need cars and they're used to buying them, they're used to seeing them. Whether they look different or do different things is a totally different story. This is a new product that's very simple, that solves a specific problem. What was that journey like in getting that to market and getting people to actually buy and adopt this product?
Yeah, it actually brings me back to when I first applied for my first patent, and I started to get some calls from people because when you get a patent, your information is published publicly, and certain companies will look for people with ideas that maybe they can help them get to market. Because as you mentioned, the go to market strategy is difficult. And so I remember this one guy called me, and he said, I'll take 50% of everything I sell for you. And I thought that's crazy. Like, no way would I just give you 50% of everything in my patent. And he goes, have you ever brought a product to market before? I said, no. He said, good luck. Click. And he hung up on me. And I was like, wow, okay. And, that kind of stuck with me because since then it's been 3 years basically. And I think if I had known now known then what I know now, would I have said yes? Like, absolutely not. But I know where he's coming from a lot more now. It was totally like, come on, like, wait, just because you did it or know how to do it, I can definitely do it. I mean, how hard is this thing to sell? It's just a brick, right? But I realized pretty early on the messaging strategy was a lot more complex. I mean, especially today in the days of social media and people just swiping and moving on and like really not wanting to see ads at all. Just, I mean, for me personally, when I see an ad, I mean, I just my finger like just reflexively just like goes past as fast. I'm looking for that ad label or sponsored or something like that. It's like, is this an ad? I mean, I'm skeptical of all kinds of regular real videos, organic videos, just because of that. Um, so you have to be super quick. That is my point in being able to effectively communicate the message of what problem your product solves for people. And you would think like, oh, a brick that holds cords, like how complicated could that be to communicate the message? It's like, well, is that actually going to sell it? It's kind of some of the other things that it does that take a few more seconds to demonstrate that set this thing apart. I mean, you wouldn't expect, I think, how many things this little brick can do if you didn't see it done by someone else. So that's been a little bit tricky is figuring out, like when I first went to the flea market, like, do I stick little pens and pencils in there and just stick it on a desk, or is that useful to people? No, that didn't end up being one of the things that got anybody to buy. I really had to walk people through the process, and I found it was in the same way. It was the cord falling, number one, the cord wrapping, snap, wrap, trap, release, unwrap, untangled. So perfect for travel, number two. And then the bonus of the phone utility, standing the phone, propping the phone, lifting the phone for whatever they might need at their charging station that could be useful there and there only. I try not to sell it as like a tool for your car, for instance. It's weighted, so it's a little heavier. You don't necessarily want to bring it, except at least for me when I put it in my backpack. That's no problem. It's not quite so heavy. You don't want to bring it like in a pack like that. But for me, it's not ideal for the car. I would design a different product for that. So it's like, how do you sell it? How much emphasis do you put on each feature? These things are not that easy to decide, and you have to test and figure it out. And then there's a lot more from there in getting the product to market. For us, we have three different channels. We've got our direct to consumer channel, Amazon.com. We've got our and then cordbrick.com, our retail channel through, we're selling into 500 Lowe's stores this year. And then we've got a promotional channel where we put logos on here too. So people use it as a branded giveaway for trade shows and things like that. So actually going to market in each of those channels is a little bit different as well.
Yeah, I'm curious how you kind of identified how you got there, because the flea market, it sounds like, really was just product testing and
Yeah,
idea message testing, all that fun stuff. Obviously, it's not scalable, right? You can't just go to flea markets all over the world.
right.
But those, I mean, those are big channels, especially get into Lowe's. I actually have a background in the promotional products industry, huge opportunity there. So those are two really good channels. And then direct to consumer, how do you find ways to quickly capture the consumer's attention? And where are you meeting those consumers? Because that the process to identify that is what I personally see that holds up a lot of small businesses, because they think they need to be all places at the same time to all people. And what you just told me is the exact opposite. Is like you found specific locations to connect with your customers. So how did you go through that process?
Yeah, I mean, we're still going through that, right? We're in that growth stage right now. I wouldn't say we're scaling because we still need me for everything. We just launched the second product, Desk Brick, which is basically a bigger version of Cord Brick, more for your desk, kind of similar features, but done in a little bit better way, more expensive product. So, our goal is to increase our average ticket. We want to sell premium products. I'm not trying to compete with, different, what some people would call Chinese knockoff brands and stuff that's not high quality for customers. I want something that people will remember and because it's quality. So we're currently going to market in the direct to consumer channel by building specific landing pages and funnels, not for search. We're driving advertising traffic there and trying to use social media, which has gone up in cost an incredible amounts, particularly since COVID. But that was one of the reasons that we went into the retail space, because we realized this is an impulse buy. As you mentioned earlier in the conversation, people don't know they need it when they're introduced to it. They totally get it. They see Cord Brick. It doesn't, not a lot of, the logo itself does a lot of the messaging, I think, for a lot of people. A bunch of people get it just by its name. Some people need a little more explanation, but of course, that's the way it is, for anything. But so, we went to trade shows and we were able to kind of capture some people and buyers that way and just get the brand out there, test their number of locations, see what stores the product is selling through. We sell into hospital gift stores. We're in other hardware stores, small electronic stores, phone accessories, things like that. And then, as you mentioned, the promotional space, I knew from a long time ago, people were asking me, could they put their logo on this? Because I'd love to hear more what you would say about how we could get into that space. But I think it's going to be huge because promotional is always looking for a new product, something that people will actually use that's decent quality and that's low cost. So this kind of meets all of those check boxes for promotional. I get a little concerned personally about the promotional space because as a giveaway, I'm not sure how much value people perceive in items that they're just given rather than if they purchase them. So for someone who's trying to create a brand, I hope that wouldn't deteriorate our perceived quality in the space. So we're testing it though, because I definitely think that this thing it's great real estate on nightstands and desktops and stuff like that. And there's not a lot of products that are similar in that way in terms of where they can kind of reach the customer. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting space to be in. Biggest buyers are corporate. So it sounds like maybe not Cord Brick, but the Desk Brick would be the better solution for them. But because then it's in the office or it's on their desk if they're working at home, those kind of things. But otherwise, yeah, you hit the boxes on the head. That's what people are looking for in that space in particular, and it's different and unique. But it's the one key is that people will use it, and that's I think the coolest feature for you is like it's so simple, but people will use it, and it's not one of those things that they're going to look at, a pen, a mug, a frisbee. Like you look at these things, you're like, okay, they live their life. I can throw them out now. Like this is one that, no, I'm moving my computer. I'm going to bring my desk brick with me. Like I need,
Yep.
I need that cord organization with me. So it's a really, really cool product for that. So I'm curious.
Thanks.
I mean, we've looked at how you got here, and I hinted at this before. You hinted at it too. The exit. I'm curious. What's next? Like, how are you planning to grow this brand, and then obviously get it out from requiring your input so much and then ultimately exit the business. Have you thought about that plan?
Yeah, it's an ongoing process. I'm learning a lot. I mean, this is my first startup that I've been in charge of or been a part of, really. I worked for small companies, I worked for large corporations, but I never really have been in a managerial role before this. I had a lot of different jobs. I don't really know what I wanted to do for a long time. And I think that's kind of what led me to entrepreneurship. Was I was interested in so many things, and I really enjoy so many parts of running this business and things I get to learn, being the one in charge and deciding what to do. Um, so the brand acquisition has been my exit strategy from the beginning. I pretty much knew that I'm not obsessed. I like organization, but I'm not so obsessed that I want to do core organization and desktop organization, other similar things like that for the rest of my life. I think as I mentioned earlier, this product I knew I could launch a company with, and I've pretty much done that. Now, the next step is, how do we get paid from that? Because we've invested a lot more money than we've made to this point, admittedly, and for good reason, because we've been growing, and so we've been proving as we've grown that we've made a lower cost product for better quality, and generated more sales out of it, launched an additional product that people are liking, and as you said, has potential in multiple channels. So we're showing and proving over time, and that's why we're growing and investing more in the company. But that does need to lead to some kind of a partnership or acquisition or something, I think, to make the most sense, so that I can kind of go do what I really want to do, which is start some other businesses, and get those other ideas out there and hopefully create value for other people in the world.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that plan. This was a cool interview. I love seeing how people bring their ideas from, that morning idea that kind of seems like something stupid, to actually building a company around it, and growing it, scaling it, and becoming the entrepreneur that you never know you were. A super cool story, Nick. So thank you for being here. But I love to end these episodes with a question, but from you. So the whole point of listening to these episodes, any podcast, in my opinion, is to get an idea that helps grow your business, helps you scale. Think about something differently, whatever that may be. We believe that powerful questions get powerful answers. So there's an obnoxious question mark behind my head. So what is that question? Whether it's something you've asked yourself through the years growing this company, or based on everything we've talked about over the course of this episode, what do you want the listener to walk away with? What is that question you want them to ask themselves in order to help them get outside of the box they find themselves in and continue to grow their business?
Yeah, so for other entrepreneurs out there, I just joined a networking group, which I'm not going to even promote that networking group by mentioning them right now. But what I would say is, talk to who are the other entrepreneurs that would be the most valuable for you to talk to, and how are you going to figure out how to reach them? Because I believe that one of the best lessons I've learned over the past couple of years, I think particularly since COVID, is what are you aiming at? How can you figure out where you need to go? And I think for entrepreneurs, the best way to do that is to kind of figure out who else has done it before, because there are other people usually that have walked the path, and there's no one that will teach you more, and give up information, I think, basically freely usually, than people who have done something similar. So who are those people, and how can you identify them, and then how can you reach them? Because you think, oh, these people are out of reach. There's no way. No, I've met a couple sharks from Shark Tank this year, and people had said, "Are you going to go on Shark Tank?" Hundreds of thousands of times, and guess what? Both of those sharks, they loved the product immediately. So regular people who said that to me were right. They knew, they could see. I mean, just Joe Schmo walking by at the flea market, has a flip phone. He's like, "You go on a Shark Tank with this?" I mean, dead serious. And he was absolutely, they were absolutely right about it. And the average person could see it. So people are saying that sort of thing to you about your idea or what you're doing. Figure out, how am I going to reach the right people? And yeah, I just challenge you to go for it. That would be my question: is how are you going to get there?
That's a powerful question. Yeah, there's immense power in community and relationships, and you can't you can't probably spend more time doing anything better than connecting with the right people, because connections are what's going to help you grow your business. And who knows, maybe they're the solution to provide that acquisition or merger for your company. So whether you, Nick, or you, the listener, wherever you are. So I love that. Nick, thanks for being here. I put your website on the screen, actually, wherever you're watching or listening, it's down below. Nick was gracious enough to offer us a discount. If you use code BRICK20 on the website, you can get as many as you need. Why not one for every room of the house, plus your desk, plus your car. Get them for everywhere. They're 20% off. Nick, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brandon.
For those of you watching, listening, wherever you are, make sure you subscribe. We want to continue to bring this daily nonsense of Harmonious at Lunch, where we hope at least a little bit you learn how to run your business and grow to that next level. Get outside of whatever's holding you back. Get your business where you need to be so you can get that time freedom back that we all started our business for. We'll see you on the next episode of Harmonious.